Protesters marching to protect women's reproductive rights, and why the stakes are high when protecting Roe v. Wade.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
How a San Jose tradition is helping artists and performers celebrate their community. Update News starts now.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Jonathan Schaefer.
And I'm Sandow.
In a surprise announcement, San Jose State University President Dr. Mary Papazian says she is resigning. In a statement emailed to the campus, Papazian said she made the decision to do so after consulting with her family. Papazian became the university's 30th president in July of 2016. In her email, Papazian said she will continue to participate in a sexual harassment investigation carried out by the U.S. Department of Justice. Last month, the university agreed to pay $1.6 million to female student athletes who reported they had been inappropriately touched by a former athletic trainer. Papazian said her decision is in the best interest of the university. She officially steps down at the end of the fall semester in December.
A federal judge just temporarily halted a controversial Texas abortion law. The move comes just days after thousands marched in protest of the law around the country, around the Bay Area, and right here in San Jose.
Chanting, "My body, my choice," protesters converged on San Jose City Hall, rallying just before the U.S. Supreme Court began its new session. Many are worried that Roe v. Wade could be in jeopardy. The Supreme Court has refused to step in to stop the Texas Heartbeat Act, which bans abortion after about 6 weeks. Some here fear that other states will follow suit.
This is not okay. We're not going back. We're not going back in time and taking away these reproductive rights. We have to be in solidarity as females and everybody across the nation.
The 3-hour San Jose March was part of the 600 marches taking place around the country.
How many of you guys are just shocked that we're still fighting for this?
But here, there were much more than just abortion rights on the agenda.
We talk about reproductive justice, but we have to frame that in the context of women of color, of the LGBTQ, trans women. All of these intersectional identities matter.
Overall, the protesters say they connected women's reproductive rights to human rights.
When we amplify what we need to do to fight for reproductive rights, it must be inclusive of all the rights that all women must fight for.
We know that there are some women that have been blocking our rights, and we need to hold them accountable too.
The state of Texas says it will appeal the judge's temporary block. Experts say the case will likely end up in the Supreme Court.
San Jose's First Fridays are back, and with pandemic numbers heading in the right direction, more people are feeling comfortable enough to come out and take the part. Darwin Seculine has the story.
The South of First Area Art Walk is a San Jose tradition, a bustling evening of art and entertainment. Every first Friday of the month, a 3-block stretch of South First Street is fenced off to celebrate the artists of San Jose. Vendors set up their tables to sell their wares, a tradition for the San Jose art community. Cynthia Gonzalez has been participating in the art walk since 2012, selling pieces of their art to interested buyers.
It's just nice to be outside and just like have people like connect with my work, because most of the time I just feel like my work is pieces of me. So if people see themselves in my work, that's pretty cool.
Vendors like Gonzalez use the art walk as a form of outreach for their customers. On the first Friday of each month, more than 75 artists present their work on First Street, not to mention the myriad of bars and restaurants that open the doors to the public. It allows them to reach new patrons in a more personalized setting. And it isn't just artists at work. There are also performers who entertain the public. More Mas Marami Art is a South Bay-based theater organization. Kimberly Piet is their co-founder and director.
Being able to connect with our community again and connect with people again, I think really sort of strengthens our resolve as to why we want to do theater with our community.
Even with some lingering worries about the pandemic, it isn't keeping people away.
Especially it being outdoors, I feel comfortable here. Just the way that it's handled, and everyone around here, they're also wearing masks.
As more people feel comfortable being in groups, organizers hope the Sofa Art Walk can continue to stay. In San Jose, Darwin Seki-Lion, Update News.
When we come back, we'll have more news.
San Jose State University students are still struggling with online learning even after a year of lockdown. More details coming up next.
As of October 4th, San Jose State University is now a locked campus. More on this in just a bit.
College students have been ripped away from their opportunity to live a full college experience. Reporter Rodri Smith has the story.
Due to COVID-19, students were forced to do online learning, and after a year and a half of consistent changes, lockdowns, students are still struggling to adjust. San Jose State University is offering in-person classes this semester, but only for certain courses. While restrictions are being lifted, a lot of students are still participating in online learning. Despite taking the online route for over a year and a half, students say they still haven't fully adjusted to it. Vish Panchal explains that even though he's enrolled in the class via Zoom, there are technical roadblocks that keep him from being in a virtual attendance.
Joining Zoom class at the same time while having my dad in a meeting gave me unstable connection most of the time, so learning was difficult.
Some students feel they aren't able to get a hands-on experience within their majors. Samantha Dietz explains that while online classes keep her safe, she's missing out on gaining in-person experience.
It would definitely benefit me to be on campus, working in journalism and whatnot. You kind of need to be wherever your newspaper or your major's at, really. You need to go where the news is at.
Not only did students have to adjust to online learning, but professors had to as well. Abby Ramiro, music professor at SJSU, explains that he never taught an online course before the pandemic.
I love technology, but I never ever had this kind of teaching online. At that moment, I didn't know what Zoom was. The only means of communication I ever had was Skype.
Although some classes are being held in person currently, there's still no word on more classes opening up in the spring. In Southern California, I'm Rodri Smith, Update News.
Mask mandates, distancing requirements, and now you need a building access card. It's all part of San Jose State University's safety plan, but the new plan is causing some confusion. Reporter Jared Liu has the story.
The school has released its newest safety initiative to help keep the people on campus safe. But the rollout of this new plan hasn't exactly gone smoothly. As of October 4th, San Jose State University is now a locked campus. Students and faculty are now required to scan their Tower ID card to get into any on-campus facility. This past week, students have been spotted waiting outside campus facilities until someone with a Tower ID card could let them enter the building as well.
I couldn't even get into my class today. I had to wait for a student to open the door, and earlier I had to use the bathroom, and I had to go all the way around and wait for someone to come out of the student union just to sneak in and use the bathroom.
If you don't have your Tower card, or you've lost it, you need to head over to the Student Services Center on 9th Street. That's between Elizabeth and East San Fernando Street on the north side of the campus.
And some of us are just now getting the Tower ID, so that's stressful for students, waiting in lines 15, 30 minutes, an hour plus. That's stressful for all of us.
If you need a replacement Tower ID card, the replacement fee is going to be $5 on top of the long wait. Make sure you plan ahead and keep your ID cards handy. In San Jose, Jared Liu, Update News.
And now we have Joshua Gilman with the weather.
Well, not surprisingly, the first few weeks of autumn have been rough around the edges, mainly because of smokier skies and higher temps. But next week, there's going to be a cool off with some possible showers into early next weekend, and more wind will come next week into the Bay, mainly on Monday. All right, looking at the extended outlook of the Bay Area, looking at the cloud satellite imagery, we see that a lot of the clouds are going to be moving eastwards as the weekend persists. There's going to be some more clouds trickling in on Sunday, but after that, it's going to be mainly clear skies in the Bay Area. Alrighty, now looking at the 7-day forecast starting in Santa Cruz, they're going to be seeing those partly cloudy skies on the weekend with clearing in the week, and highs will be in the mid-60s, lows will be in the mid-50s. San Francisco will be seeing similar conditions to Santa Cruz as usual, with highs consistent in the mid-60s and lows in the mid-50s with that windy day on Monday. And in Oakland, they're going to be seeing that windy day on Monday once again with highs in the lower 70s, and then lows will be consistent about in the mid-50s. Finally, in San Jose, they're going to be seeing pretty mild and nice conditions with highs in the upper 60s and lows will be consistent in the mid-60s. Definitely looking a lot more fallish as we approach the spooky season. Alrighty, that's the 7-day forecasts for your Bay Area. Joshua Gilman, Update News.
And when we come back, more news.
It is the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the San Jose State women's soccer team takes on the University of Wyoming. We'll take you through the game and the final scores next.
So Jonathan, we seem to be in the middle of the seasons for sport. Is there anything interesting last week we should be looking for?
Yeah, Stan, a lot of sports going on right now. We're in October and the fall season is underway. And I recently went to the women's soccer match, and here's how it went. The Spartans faced off against the University of Wyoming on Friday, October 1st, winning in a defensive slugfest. Also, while celebrating the first day of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, with games for kids and repping all the classic pink on their uniforms.
It was a fun atmosphere. It was so nice to see fans here, and obviously doubleheader with the men, so just really exciting to be able to put a W together for everybody. And we have our alumni here, about 30 alum that are in the house, so boosters, I mean, it's really fun.
And a fun game it was. Both sides were holding their own ends defensively, and the crowd was keeping the atmosphere electric. In the second half, the Spartans began putting more pressure on the Cowgirls, providing themselves plenty of chances. But the Spartans would finally break the ice off a goal belted by sophomore Jordan Rorell.
I thought that we really picked it up, and we kept getting into their half, and it was about time that it was coming, and she had a great service in, and I just made a connection, and yeah.
With an overall great win for the Spartans, it was all about keeping each other up as the game rolled on.
It's kind of knowing our core values of like competing, about being a family and picking each other up while we're down, and keeping the momentum while we have it. It's just capitalizing when we got that momentum going too.
And now for the week ahead.
Attend the Return of the Spartans Homecoming Block Party on October 13th from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at 7th Street Plaza.
The world's largest student film festival is back. Come to the Campus Movie Fest premiere at Hammer Theater on October 13th. The event starts at 7 p.m.
It's the time of the year again, the 14th annual Fire on the Fountain. come on down to the Towerlawn on October 14th from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And that does it for this week's Update News.
For all of us here, thanks for joining us and see you next week.